Good day, listeners, watchers, and everybody. This video today is the continuation of the lesson series that's been going on. I think I got already 5 out there, so this one is the 6th one. Carrying on. So if you get confused at some point, just refer to the other lessons that I've already set out there. Lesson 1 to 5. So this is lesson 6. Okay, I'm teaching everybody the Xhosa words that's been used in the Bible mostly. Okay, let's start with the one. Mbenyele. Mbenyele means to see in spirit. Okay, to see spirit. That means mbenyele. Then manuele is to feel the spirit. Okay, there's a difference. So Msindisi, our Savior, was called manuele because we feel the spirit. The spirit is with us. So he's the manuele. It means we feel the spirit in us. Okay. When he's with us, we're feeling him. We're feeling the spirit through him being with us. Okay? And then Mbenyele is to see spirit. If you remember in Genesis 32:30 there, Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, for I have seen. Remember when he wrestled with the Father himself in there? And he said he has seen, I have seen God face to face. So he called that place Mbenyele. Mbenyele is to see spirit. Okay, because he said God wasn't spirit, so he didn't see the face, his face, physical face. So he just says because he's seen him. So that means it's the spiritual part that he's seen, that he claims to have seen, even though he wrestled with him in physical. Okay, so he had Mbenyele called that place Peniel. It means Mbenyele. Okay, so that shows that language that they were speaking is Xhosa, is clear. I'm showing you right there. Peniel means Penuel. Peniel. He called that name of place Peniel because he sees spirit. Okay? Alright? You understand it now. Let's move on to the next one. Number 3, Kumkhan. Kumkha is the name of a place. Okay? I know they called, there's a forum that discusses the Bible and be doing all kind of things. They call it a Hebrew forum. And they point it up there in Israel, which is far away because Kumkha is way down in the south of Africa. That's it. Not anywhere in the eastern, whatever they call it. So Kumkha is a place called King Williamstown. Now they changed the names of these places. So Kumkha is called King Williamstown. That's what I'm trying to show you there. And there's a whole lot of other places whose names been changed. Grahamstown is called Kheni, but they're just not using Grahamstown. But the one that I wanted you all to understand is Kumkha, because I'll show you just now a whole lot of other things that are tied into with the Kumkha. Okay, so Kumkha was changed to King Williamstown. It's very important to know the ancient names because in the villages they're still using the older names Kumkha. Okay, they call it Kumkhan. Okay, if you remember the Aramaic text, the forum that's responsible for producing the Bible is called Kumkhan. Kumkhan, a Kumchen, which means of Kumkha. A Kumchen Aramaic text. They even say it there. They call it ancient Jew. Those are not ancient Jews. That's Xhosa land right in the southern part of Africa. You can go there and travel and see it for yourself. A Kumkha, say you want to see King Williamstown. People say, oh, you want to see Kumkha? Okay, sure. Okay, so that's what it is. I mean, look at let's look at the next word, Tinacha. Okay, I will come back to Kumkha. Tinacha. Tinacha is the name of a place again. I mean, these ancient Jews, they call it ancient Jews. These fake Jews are using all the names that were used in back then. They call it the Bible, Tanakh, calls it Tanakh Utenaik. They call the place name, this is renamed Utenaik. Okay, Tinakha Utenaik. It's called Utenaik now, but the older word was Tinakha. That's the name. Now, let's look at Kumkha and Tinacha. Those places are close together because that's where the generation of the Bible was produced over there, discussed and rejected, and they discuss again. I mean, a lot of reiterations until 1905 Bible was released out. But the discussions were around the King Williamstown and then Utenaik, Tanakh. Okay, and I can bet you right now that Mount Sinai is right there. I mean, if you look at Tanakh, I'll show you now a little map of Tanakh. And you could see that now this Tanakh and Kumkha, those all discussed, because now Grahamstown, if you see Kheni there, Grahamstown, that's where the publication, the printing house is. Okay, Grahamstown. That's where the printing happened. But the discussions happen in Kumkha and in Tanakh. Okay, That's why they even call those. Now look at Tanakh, the city. It's full of mountains and stuff, and you can actually see that, the chances are that Mount Sinai was probably in that Tanakh. I'm gonna do a little more investigation on that. But if you see how Tanakh is, you just see that mountain is definitely over there. All these mountains, Mount Sinai, Mount Moriah, they're probably over there. I just suspect, because that's where all these discussions, that's the place called Siskai. That's where all these discussions were happening. All about the Bible, what should be included, what should not, and all the scrolls taken in and discussing it over there. So that's the Tanakh. And now, when they name it, like the first Bible, they called it the Bible Sinai Bible. And then the fake Jews called it Tanakh, because the Romans, the Greeks, they would call it Sinai Bible. And then fake Jews came and said, no, they're going to call it Tanakh. So all because of the area it was produced at. So Sinai, Tanakh, I suspect that those mountains are right there in Tanakh, right there. Kumcha. Okay, because Kumcha, Tanakh, Sinai, it's all in the same area. So we have to look into this, because Mount Sinai is definitely in that Tanakh, Utanake. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Now, the next one is Ichala. Ichala means case. Okay, Mawele means twins. Wele is a twin. Okay, so Lama Wele means of twins, like the Savior when he says Lama Sabatane means of Sabbath keepers. Okay, so Lama means of. All right, so Itala Lama Wele means the case of the twins. That's what this. So if you read this book here, what I'm trying to get at, here's a few examples. Lama means of water. La Bantu means of the people. Lam means of mine. Like in Hosea 1:9, when the Father, Creator, said, this is not my people, my people. Luam, call your kid Luam, because you are not my people. So Luam means of mine. Labantu, okay, you get you understand my point now. So there's a reason why I'm showing you this. I just want you all to understand something about this story. Italo Lama Welu means the case of the twins. So this is a story of the ancient days, very ancient days. I mean, the elders, this story came from the 1700s. So, but the book was published way back then. But then the book was published early 19th by somebody who was born way in the 18 something. So you can actually see that these grandfathers of ours were reading this book, telling the story. It's based on a true story. That's another thing you want to understand about this. This story is based on a true story. And the true story, if you compare it with Jacob and Esau's story, mirror. And I'm like, there's something about it, because I've read that book and there's a video. If you don't understand Xhosa or Bantu language, then you can actually watch the video. They got videos on YouTube. They even made a movie about it. So you can, if you watch that story and follow it and see what's going on in it, and compare with Jacob and Esau's situation, even though they won't cover everything in the Bible, what happened between Jacob and Esau, but you will grasp the billion pieces that you grasp from the Bible and compare with that story of Jeremiah, you'll actually see that these people, this is actually probably the same people, but they change the names here and there, but it's actually almost the same kind of story. Either it's the same people, or it's something similar based on the Xhosa culture that Jacob and Esau probably following. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Now, this one is Manyasa. Nyasa is a foreigner. Okay, so Manyasa means foreigners. All right. Now, like in Egypt, like Manasseh was Manyasa. Okay, he was born in Egypt, and then they started calling him Manyasa because Egyptians were foreigners. Okay, so they say, oh, there's that Nyasa boy. He's a foreigner. Right. Okay, now let's go on to the 8. Magrigamba, that's another other terms now to say foreigner. Okay, you're either called Inyasa or a Grigamba or a. Now, these words, let me tell you something very important now about these words, which means for all of them means foreigner, but it depends on the time, the period when you were a foreigner, the period that was happening. Like a typical example, Anyasa is the first set of foreigners that were that the Xhosa people or the Bantu people back in, okay, let me say Xhosa because this is all experienced in the Xhosa area. So Nyasa are foreigners that were experienced in the Xhosa areas, and they were called Nyasa back in the days, okay, as you see Manyasa. So Manyasa, that means the Egyptians were called Amanyasa back in the days. There was no word called Egypt. Probably was called Nyasa. Nyasa. So Amanyasa, which means the Egyptians. Okay. So that's why I'm like, okay, so if the Xhosa people used to call people that are coming, because now the first foreigners that were amongst Xhosa people were Amanyasa, okay? It doesn't say Egyptians. Nobody talks about Egyptians. It just say Amanyasa, okay? So that's where you say, oh, okay, so, any foreigner is called Anyasa. But now, the foreigners, they started being called, now as time goes, as years go by, they started calling the foreigners Makrigamba or Makirimani, which comes, a lot of people say, no, those words come from Greek, Makriman. So that shows, oh, okay, so after the Nyasa, which is now the Egyptians, because Nyasa, we can see that the sun, which was an Egyptian sun, was called Nyasa. So that means Egyptians were the foreigners among the Xhosa people, and they were calling them Amanyas. So now the second one that came after, the second foreigners that were among the Xhosa people after the Nyasa people, Egyptians, were the Greeks. Because now, all of a sudden, all foreigners are called Amakrigamba, Amakiriman, Amakiri, so which calls Greeks. So all foreigners were called Greeks. Okay? And then all of a sudden, later on, boom, all foreigners were called Ghana. Now, that's what I don't understand, because every foreigner was called the Ghana. In the 80s, all foreigners were called Amagana. Hey, there's Amagana, which means people from Ghana. And they were physically people, they're still there. People from Ghana living in the Xhosa area. Now, I can't really find in the Bible something that references, but there is something that talks about there's a nation that is going to be living, nation amongst the tribes or amongst the bunch of people that's going to come and live within the children of Israel or within Judah or something to that effect. But y'all can just try and read and see why the Ghana people were amongst now the Xhosa people or the children of Israel. I don't really understand what's going on. But the next one, because now they were called Amagana. Until today, that Ghana name is still there. So, oh, okay, I'm a Ghana. All foreigners called Ghana. Okay. And they are physically Ghana people in there. And they are still physically Greek people in there. But the Manyasa, nobody can tell now which one is the Nyasa. Oh, they're just black people. Okay. And now the latest one, which come in the 90s, it's called Kwere Kwere. All foreigners now are called Kwere Kwere. If you go to the southern part of Africa, all foreigners are just called Makwere Kwere. Kwere Kwere. Kwere Kwere, you can see. Now, why? I think it's derived from the language, because now the Bantu people in the south, they don't understand the other languages that the foreigners are speaking. So when they speak the Kwere Kwere, they probably hear Kwere Kwere, something like this from the syllables that the other people is using, the other nations is using. Then they started calling them Kwere Kwere people from the syllables of their language. So that's what's going on. So you can actually tell who inhabited or what were the foreigners called based on the perception that the Xhosa people started calling them, or people in the southern part of Africa, they were calling the foreigners over there. Starting from Manyasa, which were the Egyptians, Manyasa, going to Amakrik, and then next Amagana, and then next now, which is now the latest from the 90s to the 20,000s, which is Makwarekwer. Okay, so y'all can understand now the language. All mean foreigners, but now different words for foreigners depending on when they started being foreigners in the southern part of Africa. Okay.